Hello. So, I've been looking at the pictures I took, and I've done some more testing and looked at some things. I decided to keep this smaller grass mod. The big difference between this and the cathedral one I was using is that this one is really using really just one basic grass with some different colors to it. There's not, I mean, if you want it, the cathedral grass mod, which did not cause me any issues at all, it had a lot more grass variety in that it included things that weren't just grass. It looked like you really had some crazy ground cover and not just grass. But nonetheless, like it included ferns and some different things. But I decided to go with this because this is, it's obviously a smaller mod, and it's basically using the same grass. It does do a few different colors, which is nice. It'll be different shades, so it won't always look the same. It gives me enough variety without, and it's very small. It's a very small mod. Now I'm looking at Dark Ages Trees of the North, and I've read through this and I've looked and compared, and I can't see that it's doing anything for me. And I think the reason is that this is basically doing the same thing that another mod I have does. And let me show you. And I've got it lower because I knew it was a texture mod. And this one I thought was more of a trees mod, but it's still basically just a little tree texture mod. It and this are very similar. They do very similar things, so I can't really tell much difference. This makes your trees a little fluffier, and it gives some colors to your aspens. This makes your trees fluffier and gives you some color to your aspens. Now, there's obviously some difference because there's a size difference, and I don't know what that difference is. Now, this is not compatible with Divine Forests. Not compatible with Forests of Dibella. But it is compatible with Divine Forests, which I think I've decided to keep that too. Hold on. Ain't that what we had up here? I've already forgotten. I'm so focused on trying to test this out and see what I want to keep and what I want to do. Divine Forest, yeah. So I'm going to keep Divine Forests because of what it adds. I've seen examples of what it adds, and it's fine. There's no problem with that. It'll just add a little more forest. It'll add some fallen trees and some cool stuff. That's very good. Now it says to place it under Divine Cities and stuff. I'm not using Divine Cities. If I was, then yeah, I would move this down and go under that. I'm not using it, so it shouldn't be an issue. If it appears to cause any trouble, I can drop it lower in my load order. Nonetheless, so back here to this dilemma here, I think the reason I'm not seeing any difference is that I think these two mods kind of do very similar things, and I'm not seeing a lot of difference, and they're both done by the same mod author. So, and this one was updated more recently, and I think it may contain most of the stuff that's in this. Now, maybe they did things differently between these two, but it doesn't appear to be very different to me. And I'm not trying to be a pain when I say this. I just say, I think the difference is this one also adds tree bark, and I don't think this one adds tree bark. So that may be the difference. But let's see. Trees are thicker but not taller. Let's see. There's no bark in it. This one does have some bark in it. Let's see, clipping, yeah. Weather mod doesn't matter. Landscape doesn't matter. So, I would like to have more of a I would like to know more about what this is doing. Now, in the load order, it says meshes and textures. Well, I don't necessarily include meshes and textures in the same grouping because I think of texture as just paint. But I admit when it comes to trees, it probably doesn't matter so much. So, still, I get the idea though. I get the idea. I guess you'd look at like SMEM as I look at that as more of a mesh thing. You know, it's more of the shape of something and not really just a texture, how it's painted. Though how it's painted does affect how it looks. So I see the dilemma there. All right. Anyway, this doesn't tell me enough of what it really does. Pine trees are larger, taller, and thicker. Aspens now come in many colors. Larger, taller, lusher trees to enhance your forest environment. Lush aspens, fluffier branches. Pine tree meshes are also refitted and have more branches. Fluffy pines. See, I really think, and this one was updated more recently, I really think this one has, and it's compatible with Skyland and Dark Ages, I really believe this one has what this has with a little more stuff, because it has tree bark, and I think it may have the meshes included in this mod will add a more dense tree without Xbox One FPS loss due to shadow quality, and that's true. I've not had any issues with either of the. I've really not had any issues with either of these, but I think this one is basically overriding that one, and that's why I'm not seeing a difference in my game. I really like the Divine Texture Pack trees. I could turn it off and we can try a test that way. That's what I need to do. Okay, I've kind of thought about it now. See, it takes me a little bit. I have to kind of talk myself through it. Let's try it this way. I'm going to do a reset and we're going to come back in. I tried a number of things while I was away between, you know, after the last session. I can't really record very well if I'm just recording like 60 seconds here, a minute, you know, a minute and a half there, and because I don't have anything to really join. I don't have some good software to join all that up and make something out of it. So anyway, we'll be back in a minute after reset.